Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Hackathon San Francisco participant webinar. I am Christine Chin. I am a project manager with BeMyApp. I will also be on site at the event as your MC, and I will be running the hackathon from an event perspective. This hackathon is for yuuvis by Optimal Systems. Should you have any questions while you're on site, feel free to reach out to me. I'm there for you, and I'm looking forward to meeting every one of you. Before we get started, however, I did want to point out one thing. On the webinar, you will be able to see on the right side of your screen, there is a chat section. I will not be able to answer any of your questions while I am presenting, but we do have Kim with yuuvis, and she can answer questions as we go along. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A section, so if there are more questions, feel free to post them there. So on this webinar, we will discuss the hackathon challenge, prizes, scoring criteria, the schedule, important deadlines, the event platform, Slack, and I will also give you some advice on how to win a hackathon and some tips on how to give a great demo, and we will also discuss team formation and ideation. So what is this hackathon about? So at this yuuvis hackathon, you will build smart content management and service adjacent solutions. With yuuvis, you get foundational APIs, including rendition services, data and metadata extraction, business process management, and Elasticsearch. You can use any of these or all of these any way you want. Businesses generate an enormous number of documents, videos, emails, spreadsheets, contents of all kinds every day. Even with all of the solutions out there, the struggle to structure, compliantly manage, and easily find the right snippet of content is real. At this hackathon, you will create a project around one of the 3 challenge areas. And for the 3 challenge areas, I will go into more detail a little bit later. But with your projects, you can add any REST API compatible technology to complete your vision. That includes AI, machine learning, messenger services, document editing tools, and your imagination is really the limit for your projects. So as mentioned previously, there are 3 challenge areas. So for your projects, you must include only one of the 3 challenge areas. The challenge areas are sharing and collaboration, archiving, and wildcard. Sharing and collaboration. Envision new ways to share information beyond the whole document. A messenger stream, one clip within a video, mail content that was archived. Imagine next generation collaboration combining the yuuvis document management APIs and communication tools like Slack, G Suite, Components, or Microsoft Office 365. The next challenge area is archiving. Envision new or faster or more efficient ways for archiving information such as emails, documents, videos, streams, and others. Use the power of AI and machine learning to extract metadata from diverse datasets. Wildcard. So with Wildcard, you can use your imagination to create any content document-centric solution you can think of using yuuvis's core APIs and any third-party code and technology. So with the wildcard category, creativity is really the key. You want to create something unique. You might invent the next business workflow, enhance the underlying structure service, utilize a Power SQL query capability from the yuuvis framework to improve the user experience, learn about the yuuvis structure service and enhance it with AI to make it adapt to your needs, or anything else you can really imagine. So, what are you competing for at this hackathon? Let's talk about prizes. There is a $10,000 prize pool plus a trip to Berlin. So as mentioned previously, there are 3 different challenge areas, and there will actually be 1 challenge area winner for each challenge area. So there will be a sharing and collaboration challenge winner, an archiving challenge winner, and a wildcard challenge winner. So for each of those winners, they will get $2,500 for their team. And On top of winning a challenge area, there will also be a team that is deemed the grand prize winner out of those 3 challenge areas. The team that is deemed the grand prize winner will receive an additional $2,500. So what that means is, since the team already won a challenge area, on top of that, they will be the grand prize winner, and they can earn they will earn $5,000 for their team, as well as a trip to Berlin for a final hackathon. That also includes airfare and accommodation for each team member. That's pretty exciting, right? So what are your projects going to be scored on, based on? Your projects will be judged on 3 things. It will be judged on innovation, creativity, and use of technology. So when you are working on your projects, there are 2 questions that you really need to keep in mind. They are, how can you integrate AI, ML, and other disruptive technologies? How forward-thinking and future-proof is the vision behind your solution? Judges will be interested in creative use cases grounded in the real world. So before we move on, I just want to iterate one more time that there are 3 challenge areas, but you must focus on one of the challenge areas for your projects. All right, now that we've talked about what the hackathon's about, what the challenge areas are, and what your projects will be scored on, and of course the prizes, let's talk about what's in store for you at this hackathon. So on Friday night, July 26th, we will be having a workshop and networking event. So this workshop and networking event is not mandatory, but I do highly recommend that you do attend this. It starts at 6:30 and it does end at 9 p.m. Let's go over the agenda for this networking event. So at 6:30, you can check in and pick up your badges. At 7 o'clock, there will be kickoff and introductions. At 7:30, and this is why I highly recommend you attend, there will be a workshop led by James and Kolya of yuuvis. At that workshop, they will talk about yuuvis and how you can get started with the APIs, and they'll also talk about more details and more in depth about the APIs, so you definitely don't want to miss that. After the workshop at 8:30, there is a networking event. During this time, you can talk to the mentors, ask them any questions, but you can also meet the other attendees and start forming your teams. And at 9 p.m., the workshop event ends. So on day 1 of the hackathon, it is Saturday, July 27th. Doors open at 8 a.m. You can check in at that time, and breakfast will also be served. At 9 a.m., there will be kickoffs and introductions. At 9:30, we will have time for you to ideate and to form teams. So if for some reason you were not able to attend the network and workshop event, you'll also have an opportunity to meet other attendees during that time and create teams. At 11 a.m., you should be in teams already, and there will be a crash test. What that means is, at the crash test, you will have time to speak to the mentors and really run your ideas by them, and just try to get some feedback from them before you really dig into your projects. At noon, lunch will be served, and at 3, we have a fun activity for you. We know that for the 2 days of the hackathon, you will be working really hard, so we want to make sure that you actually have some fun at the event as well. We have a virtual reality game competition going on. The winner of this virtual reality competition will win a golden buddy bear statue. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, so the virtual reality video game, it's Beat Saber, so get ready to slash some beats, guys. At 6 p.m., we will have dinner, and at 8 p.m., team registration is due. Take note of that, guys. Team registration is due at 8 p.m. on July 27th. I'll go into a little more detail about that later. And on day 1 of the hackathon, we do end at midnight. It is not an overnight hackathon. Doors will close at midnight, so you do need to leave the premises, but we definitely come back the next morning. Day 2 of the hackathon, Sunday, July 28th. Doors do open at 8 a.m. We will have breakfast for you, and if you do have any questions, technical support resumes. At 11 a.m., your projects are due, so please take a note of this as well. I'll go into a little more detail about that as well. Also at 11 a.m., we have pitch practices scheduled for you. So during the pitch practice, your project should be complete at that point, and you should be getting ready to practice for your presentations. So at the pitch practice, you will meet with judges and mentors, and you can, if you're ready, you can run through your presentation and show your demo and try to get feedback from them to help with your presentation. At noon, we will have lunch. 2 p.m. is final presentations, and that's when you will be able to shine and show us what you created. 4 p.m., judges deliberation. 5 o'clock, winner's announcement. And 6 o'clock, we do have a reception for you. The event ends at 7 p.m. So as we went through the schedule, I did mention 2 deadlines I wanted you to take note of. The first one is registration. All teams have to register their teams by 8 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th. The URL is noted on the screen for you. What you must submit is your name, your main point of contact, and your team members. The next deadline I want you to take note of is project submission. All teams must publish their project and submit them on the Hackathon platform by 11 a.m. on Sunday, July 28th. The URL is also noted here on the screen for you. So we've talked about the Hackathon platform a few times already, and by now I feel like you may be kind of familiar with it since you are watching this webinar, but in case you've forgotten, the URL is noted here for you. I also did want to point out a couple things on the platform that you should have access to. So we talked about submitting projects to the platform. If for some reason you don't have the URL, you can always go onto the platform. You'll notice at the header bar in teal, we have projects highlighted right there. That's where you can submit your projects. You also have access to interviews. So what that means is if you want to ask a mentor a question, either before the hackathon or even during the hackathon, you can schedule a one-on-one to interview with them through the platform. Each session with the interview is each session with a mentor is only 30 minutes long. There's also a section for webinars. After this webinar, I will post my slides to the webinar section so you can have access to them, and there will be a replay of the webinar by end of week on the platform as well. The next section you have access to is questions. So aside from questions on this webinar, if you have questions later on, you can always post them in that section and I will go in and answer anything you put there. The next section you have access to is insights. And I want to point out that the insights section is kind of like your one-stop shop for information about the hackathon. There are documents there that you will find useful. For example, we have the getting started with the APIs noted there. We have a frequently asked questions doc there and the official rules also. So if there's anything you need, a document, check the insights section first. And lastly, you do have access to the mentors. So if you click on the mentors button, you will be able to see who your mentors are. So when you're on site, you'll know who to go to. So let's talk about Slack. I want to make sure that everyone signs up for Slack. It's very important. By signing for Slack, the URL is noted on the screen for you as well. You will be able to get access to various documents as well on the Slack channel. If you have a technical question while you're at the event, you can post on the Slack channel. And you can also even find your next team member on the Slack channel too. All you have to do is make sure you are subscribed to the hashtag SF Hackathon Slack channel, and you can find any information about the hackathon there. Or like I said, you can ask technical questions and find your next team member. So please sign up for Slack. All right, so we've gone over a lot of logistical things. I want to give you some advice on how to win a hackathon. So when you're getting started on your project, you want to make sure you focus only on one problem, one feature, and one target. You don't want to create a project that focuses on 3 different features because you may not be able to complete all those features. So focus on one problem, one feature, one target. And remember, one good feature is better than having two average ones. Focus on what your users need. You want to have an idea, and that idea should solve a clearly defined problem that users are experiencing. Design. You want to make sure your product is easy to navigate. It's something that your users want and they can engage with. Plan. There should be a clear roadmap of your project and your product development strategy. And lastly, pitch. Be sure to consider how you're going to propose your project and make sure that when you're pitching your project, you're appealing to the judges and you're setting yourself apart from your competition. So when you're picking an idea for a project, you want to focus on one thing, focus on one target. A great example is Facebook. Facebook was originally started for Harvard students, and they really honed in on what the students wanted. So with that being said, with your project, you want to narrow your target audience, and you really want to determine what features your users are going to care about. The latest technologies lead to disruptive designs. What do I mean by that? Well, you want to really focus on a niche market. You don't want to focus your project on the greater audience, because you really want to target your project and hone it into a specific user group. An app or service for everybody is an app for nobody. Think about that and keep that in mind when you're working on your projects. Project development. So 20% of the features developed answer 80% of the needs. What I mean is, don't waste time on what ifs. So when you're working on your project, you might have like 3 ideas that you want to execute, but you don't want to waste all the time and energy focusing on those 3 things. Just really focus on one feature that will work, because you do want to complete your projects as well. So this next advice I have for you, I can't stress it enough: teamwork. You will be put in teams. Well, most of you will be put in teams. You can work individually as you choose, but I would say the majority of you will be in teams. You want to work together and collaborate. So brainstorm less and create more. During the hackathon, you only have 2 days to work on this project. Normally, the type of projects you are creating, people have weeks, months to work on them. So you really want to work together and make sure you're collaborating with your team. Be able to delegate and effectively manage your time. Share the workload with your team. Don't try to do everything yourself. Make sure when you're working with your team that you define tasks that are clear, and make sure you have team members in charge of each of those tasks. And of course, consider input from all sides, and don't be afraid to delegate work to teammates. Build what you're going to show. So let's talk about the presentation format. The presentation format is 3 minutes to pitch your projects to the judges. And along with that pitch, it includes your presentation and your demos. And after that, the judges will have 2 minutes for Q&A. So in total, each team will have 5 minutes allotted to them. But as I said, you only have 3 minutes to do your presentation and your demo. When you're doing your presentation, be sure to paint a picture, try to tell a personal story, and try to really engage your audience and, of course, your judges. You want to make your pitch relatable so they remember you. Have good structure, explain the problem, how you're solving it, and also include and mention what technology you are using. And most importantly, don't forget to demo your project. So at the hackathon, there are a couple of things that I want to mention and make sure you come prepared with. First off, bring your computer or whatever device you will be coding on. That will not be provided at the hackathon. You want to come prepared with an IDE. Choose a language and an appropriate editor. I have a few suggestions for you noted on the screen. Also, you want to come prepared with the appropriate compilers, environments for language choice. I have suggestions for you as well, noted on the screen. And lastly, you want to come prepared with a cloud account. So you want to sign up for a cloud account beforehand just to make sure everything works and it runs smoothly. We do recommend Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, but you can use any cloud account you'd like. I did want to call out one thing to you though. Google is sponsoring the hackathon and they will be providing $300 in credits if you sign up for the Google Cloud Platform. So if you are interested in using Google Cloud Platform, the URL is noted on your screen and you can sign up using that URL and you will receive $300 in credit that can be used the weekend of the hackathon. If for some reason after the hackathon you want to continue using Google Cloud Platform, you can contact Carly Wild at google.com and she can provide you additional credits and can help you continue building with Google Cloud. All right, so let's talk about how to give a great demo. Demo tip number 1, assign a demo driver. So when you're doing your presentation, you want to make sure you have one person solely focused on doing the demo and another person solely focused on presenting. And the reason why I say that is because you don't want the same person doing the demo and presenting because they could get a little distracted while they're speaking because they are messing around with the computer. So you want to make sure that you have one person assigned as a demo driver, one person as a speaker. And I say this because you only have 3 minutes to present and you want to make sure you maximize your time. Demo tip number 2. We kind of talked about this already, but I want to stress this again. Paint a picture for the audience. You want to tell a personal story. You want to make your pitch relatable. You want to make sure the audience remembers, and especially the judges remember, what you're presenting. Be sure to have good structure, talk about the why, the how, and what, and of course, show your demo. Demo tip number 3, don't call out your challenges or problems. I can't stress this enough, don't call out anything that's wrong with your project. Make sure you focus on what's positive, what's great about your project, what's unique, what's working. You don't want the judges to remember what was wrong. So definitely do not call out any challenges or problems. Demo tip number 4, practice with a timer. I did mention that you only have 3 minutes to present and demo. So it's really important that you practice with a timer. Make sure that when you're practicing with a timer, you're able to talk about the critical points, anything you want to highlight, and make sure you have time to demo your project. Demo tip number 5, limit your slides to 3 max. You don't want to go on stage and present a slide that has maybe 20 slides or something like that. You definitely won't be able to go through all the slides in 3 minutes. And most importantly, you don't want to put the judges to sleep. You want to keep your slides limited to 3 max. And on those 3 slides, be sure to include any critical information. And as I said previously, anything you want to highlight about your project, include in those slides. Demo tip number 6, test your technology. So just because when you're working on your project, just because your demo worked maybe like 5 times while you're practicing, doesn't mean it will always work. So test your technology multiple times. Make sure that you do run-throughs when you're doing your presentation also, and just test your technology. And if for some reason, something goes wrong, you want to have a backup plan. So think about that too. So definitely test your technology and have a backup plan just in case. Demo tip number 7. So a few things to know when you're presenting: know where to stand on stage, know what to show, know what to say, and where to look. If you have any questions about when you have to present and you're on stage, feel free to reach out to me and I can give you some advice. A couple don'ts I want to share with you: don't read from your slides, don't turn your back on the jury or the audience, don't try a body language that isn't yours because that will definitely come off as unnatural, and don't panic. And the most important tip I have for you is just have fun, be proud. You will have worked for 2 days straight on a project and you really want to show off what you've created. So just like I said, have fun and be proud. Okay, guys, we're down to the home stretch. So I wanted to talk about team formation and ideation. We talked about Slack previously, but I want to stress again how important it is to join Slack. Make sure you sign up for the channel #SF Hackathon. Like I said previously, you'll find all kinds of important information posted on the Slack channel. And if you have technical questions, you can post that there. But you can also find your next team member on there. Or if you're trying to find a team yourself, you can post a question or post information on this channel and you can find your team members. Another way to find team members is on the platform. I did mention to you previously that there is an insight section that's kind of like your one-stop shop for information and documents. I have posted on the insights section a list of the current participants who are looking for a team. So on that list, it shows what kind of developer they are, what kind of language they're familiar with, what their superpowers are. But there's also a tab called Team Formation. If you go onto that tab, you can put your name there and you can list out what skill set you're looking for in a team member, and anyone can go in there and respond to you. So we're just about done with this webinar, but I did want to point out that we have one more webinar you should check out. Tomorrow, at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, July 18th, we will have Kolya of yuuvis talk about how you can get started with the yuuvis APIs. He will also give an intro to yuuvis. So you definitely don't want to miss that, and make sure you tune in for that. All right, with that, I will open up the question section. I'm going to return back to the platform and see what we have going on here. Okay, so it looks like we have a question about the team registration URL. Let me grab that for you. Let me post that for you. Looks like Kim has the Slack channel on here for you as well. Are there any other questions? No? All right. Well, I did want to let you know, I did mention this earlier too, that my slides will be on the webinar section for you to review if you'd like to take a look at them. And the replay will also be made available for you. Thank you for joining. I will see you all at the hackathon.